So on this segment, we're only 2.5 hours from the lower mainland. We're in a little place called Brookmere, and I'm standing in front of something that's pretty amazing. It's one of the last remaining water towers for refueling the old steam engines that's left in British Columbia. Now this is a deluxe one. It's a 2-spouter. It's got spouts on each side because there was 2 tracks. In the wintertime, when it was cold, to keep the water from freezing, they would have a wood stove, and that wood stove would be firing up heat for 24 hours a day. Now this is the beginning of a unique drive we're going to take. And to tell us about that drive, I have with us once again, Fred Brown. Fred?
John?
And where are we going? We're going to go down here?
We're going to go about 10 kilometers down the old Kettle Valley rail bed, and we're going to tie up with the 1800 Wagon Road that takes us right into Princeton. We're going to go by Otter Lake, town of Tulameen, the ghost town of Colmont, ghost town of Granite City, and end up in Princeton.
So if you like ghost towns, you're going to like this segment. Let's go.
Cool.
Our journey with Fred today begins in the little town of Brookmere, located just a short drive from exit 256 off the Coquihalla Highway. Now, people who drive by here every day have no idea what awaits them if they were just to slow down and take the turn off the highway. This was an important stopping spot for the Kettle Valley Railway, and for the first part of our trip, we'll be following the old rail bed. The KVR, as it was known, ran from Hope, just outside the lower mainland, to Midway, the edge of the Kootenay Mountains. The KVR line was a crucial part of shipping of fruit and other produce from the fields of the Okanagan. Owned by the Canadian Pacific Railways, sections of the railway were used up until the late 70s. Today, the tracks themselves have been removed, and the old rail bed has become an ideal attraction for both cyclists and ATVs.
When we come back, we continue our off-roading trek in search of platinum in the ghost town of Granite City.
Traveling the old rail bed is an exciting drive. This is 4-wheel drive territory only, and after a rainfall, this trip can get wet. Continuing through the valley, we met up with Colmont Road, which follows the path of the original Wagon Road. This led us past Thin Lake, and eventually to the much larger Otter Lake. There's a provincial park here, and we stopped to take a look.
So we motored down and we are right here in Otter Lake. And Otter Lake is great because you can get power boats on it, right?
You can have as many horsepower as you want, and that's kind of unusual for a lake that's only 5.5 kilometers long.
And where do people come from?
A lot from the lower mainland and a fair number from Alberta.
And we've still got the history out here because right here was the original stagecoach line.
We just drove down the Wagon Road that went from Princeton to Merritt, and it went right on the other side of the lake from the railway. And they were cutting ice here until the 1920s, roughly, before they started manufacturing at the coast artificial ice. So this is how they cooled passenger cars, cooled fruit, cooled everything. Was cutting ice in the wintertime and hauling it. Even the Great Northern hauled it down for their lines. They cut on this lake.
What's our next stop?
Our next stop is the head of this lake, which is the town of Tulameen.
And we're going to talk about something pretty valuable down there.
Well, we're going to talk about how gold was found down there and platinum.
Platinum. More expensive than gold.
More expensive than gold, and this is the second place in the world where free platinum has been found.
Well, let's see if we can find something.
Let's go get it.
Tulameen is a town of little more than 250 people. However, because of Otter Lake and the great places to hike and swim, that number grows during the summer tourist season. There's a small white sand beach at the edge of town.
And so what's basically happened is the town's really taken off. It's already up to how many people?
Well, we got up to where right now we're 250, but I think
In 100 years.
in 100 years we were higher back then. I mean, even little Granite City, where the gold was first discovered in 1885, had a population of 2,000. So I would imagine this would have carried a similar number.
2 places in the world they found platinum.
Yep.
Freestanding platinum, right?
One in Russia and the other right in this area.
And was there a big boom here at any particular time?
The big boom with the gold was in the 1885 to about 1900, and it petered out. But then coal took over. Coal was important for the railway and for the steamships.
Wow, that's amazing. Talk about resources, eh? From the most expensive, platinum, down to gold,
I know.
and then into
But when
coal.
when they first hit the platinum, they didn't know what they had. It was just a white gold, they called it, and they didn't think it had any value. It was later they learned that it was more valuable than gold, or it became more valuable. I don't know the full history on that.
There is a nifty story about Granite City,
Granite City.
and we're going to go down there right now.
Absolutely.
Following the Coalmont Road from Tulameen to Granite City, you'll pass through the small town of Coalmont. There are several heritage buildings here that point to Coalmont's past as a mining town. There's even a hotel and bar run by a local couple, Don and Mary Ann Slager.
How you doing?
Good.
So
Good for you.
we're wondering what we can do for dinner. Do you serve here?
We do. We serve suppers on Saturday nights, and we ask for reservations so that we know how much food to buy. So when my wife cooks, we get rid of it all. Otherwise, I'm eating it for the next week.
Going to be a big turnout tonight for dinner?
Oh, I think I got 11 for dinner tonight. Usually I'm about 15 to 20.
We have served up to 31 in here one night. That just about killed me. I don't know about my wife. So
What time?
well, it starts at 6,
Okay.
and then it's usually like everybody else by 7, because you see, I have to do the dishes.
We did end up eating at the Coalmont later that night, and the food was fantastic. But for now, it's early, and there's still more country to explore. So it's back into the FJ and up the Coalmont Road to Granite City.
We're on our way to Granite City, and we're going to go over an old Bailey bridge they used a ton of these in this country a while back, and they're still perfectly good, right?
Still in use, still in use.
And this is the Tulameen River, which runs from where to where?
Well, Tulameen River flows obviously right through Tulameen. It starts up in the mountains above the Coquihalla Highway, flows in and meets the Similkameen right in Princeton. So we're right in the center of gold country, where these creeks that flow into the Tulameen, and in the Tulameen, they found the gold.
You know what amazes me is that there's nobody up here.
No, it's like a ghost town. And where we're heading, Granite City, there's not a soul. In fact, there's very few buildings left.
Granite City is a ghost town, and there's nothing really much left of it. You cannot find any city, or any granite either. Signage to the town is hard to find, but the locals are glad to point you to the right direction.
So this is all that's left of Granite City.
There were 2,000 people here, living here, John. At the peak, 1885 to 1888, 2,000 people. It's hard to imagine, but look at the state of it now.
And the guy, who found it? Johnny
Chance was a cowboy in
What a
the
name.
area. I know.
Johnny
Just
Chance.
by happenstance, we
Yeah.
got the chance. He was a cowboy, was dabbling around in the creek and started finding gold, staked a claim, and that started it all running.
And this is all that's left now today.
Just a few foundations, and you can see people have dug through here and looked through the old cabins looking for any remaining gold dust.
There's only foundations and ruins now, but there still could be a bucket of platinum laying in these ruins, waiting for a lucky hiker to come and find it.
The story of the Swedish miner,
Yes.
whose name I can't remember, had been collecting this white gold, but it didn't apparently have any value, but he thought he should collect it anyway. So he got a pail of it and purportedly buried it near his cabin or under his cabin in Granite City.
It could be this cabin.
I don't think it would be that one, because people heard this rumor, and virtually all the cabins got ramsacked, burned, dug up, people looking for the platinum, and from what I understand, nobody's ever found it. Of course, if they had, they'd have kept quiet.
Well, but they're still up here. I guess people are still digging around.
Maybe they are.
I see signs of fresh digs here.
Well, there's probably still gold in Granite Creek just behind us there.
Fred, it's been a great drive.
It's been fun.
It's almost like the segment that would refuse to end. It was fun.
It was good.
I have worked with a lot of maybe 300 or 400 guests in television over the years. I can honestly say I haven't had any more fun than I've had today working with you.